සුපිරි අධිවේගයක් පරදා ඔබ මවිත කරවන වේගයක් විඳ ගන්න. පියවර 3කින් ශ්‍රී ලංකා ටෙලිකොම් ෆයිබර් ඔප්ටික් ජාලයට එක්වන්න. slp.lk වෙත පිවිසෙන්න.
Making headlines on First at 9. Concerns of a minority. Opposition leader R. Sambandhan urges the president to ensure a new constitution before the end of his term.
President Maithripala Sirisena, I would urge him to do his best to ensure that during his term, we're able to give this country a new constitution.
Raging debate. Parliamentarians of the joint opposition present their case for the position of the opposition leader.
You have to make an announcement. That is the second issue I am raising today.
Bridging the gap. Army Commander Lieutenant General Mahesh Senanayake invites the Tamil diaspora back to the country.
They are rich, they have resources, they have knowledge. Why not? They have been brought here and invest in terms of development of North and East.
No in-house corruption. IGP Pujit Jayasundar insists on a zero-tolerance policy in cases of police corruption.
No, it's a sort of zero tolerance.
End of an era. Five-time Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu M. Karunanidhi passes away. A very good evening to you and welcome to First at 9 on Derana 24/7 Sri Lanka's news channel. I'm Katharina Chang. Now moving on to our top story tonight. The leader of the opposition R. Sambandhan today urged President Maithripala Sirisena to ensure the provision of the proposed new constitution before the end of his term in office. Addressing the event held at Trincomalee campus today, Sambandhan also called on the president to allay the fears of the youth in the north and east and ensure proportionate employment opportunities for Tamil youth in the public sector.
The newly built building of the Applied Science Academy attached to the Trincomalee campus of the Eastern University is a 410 million rupee investment of the government. It was vested with the students under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena today. Meanwhile, the construction of the new multi-purpose auditorium of the campus also commenced under the patronage of the head of state. The event was attended by Leader of the Opposition R. Sambandhan and Minister of Higher Education Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa.
Sinhalese, the Tamils, the Muslims all supported him. We trusted him. We still trust him. We still think he will do the right thing. President Maithripala Sirisena himself knows that we think that he will not let us down and that he knows that we will not let him down. We are engaged in making a constitution. Nobody wants anything done in secret. I don't want anything done in secret. We don't want anything done through a conspiracy. President Mahinda Rajapaksa, when he commenced the constitutional process, talked of maximum possible devolution. He talked of 13th Amendment plus. He said, I want the people living in different areas to determine their destiny in those areas. Those were his own words. He appointed a multi-ethnic experts committee. He urged them to study patterns of devolution in all parts of the world and come up with their proposals with regard to power sharing arrangements and devolution arrangements in Sri Lanka, which that committee of experts has done. During his regime, those proposals have been accepted by the Thisavitana committee and they are a matter of record. But if this country is to move forward, to reach its full potential, to develop economically, if the country is to win the recognition and the respect of the world, we need to have a new constitution. President Maithripala Sirisena, I would urge him to do his best to ensure that during his term, we're able to give this country a new constitution for the benefit of the country. There is a feeling amongst Tamil youth that they are being discriminated against in the matter of employment. That is because there are Sinhalese ministers, there are Muslim ministers, hardly any Tamil ministers, none from the north and the east. And I would earnestly urge His Excellency the President to give his mind to this issue.
I wish to mention here, when we provided employments in the Ministry of Prison Rehabilitation, we did not recruit a single one from outside the northern and eastern provinces. Almost 1/4 of the recruitments were done to provide services to these two provinces from and among the people living in northern and eastern provinces. When we recruited the staff for the judiciary, we followed the same system. I know in certain ministries that Honorable opposition leader has some concern.
Meanwhile, a tense situation erupted at the university upon the arrival of the president. Students demanding solutions for examination irregularities from the university administration had been organising a protest march at the university premises prior to the president's arrival. However, police had intervened to stop the protest march, leading to a tense situation between students and police officers. Journalists who arrived at the scene to cover the incident were also interrupted. The students were later seen dispersing as the president's secretary had promised to look into the issues raised by the students.
Speaker Karu Jayasuriya today informed Parliament that his definitive viewpoint on giving the post of opposition leader to the joint opposition will be stated within this week. The Speaker made the remark after members of the joint opposition argued their case for the post in Parliament.
Members representing the joint opposition met with you 2 weeks ago and made it clear to you that there are 70 of us here in Parliament. You accepted what we said. You then informed us that you would make a statement whether we will be accepted as the main opposition in Parliament or not. During the last 3 years, many parliamentarians have left the government and joined us. During the discussions we held with you 2 weeks ago, it was mentioned that a new decision will be announced before the Parliament. You clearly accepted that the ground situation has changed. We are representing this House under the leadership of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. Millions voted for us. We do not have an issue with the opposition leader Sambandhan. All speakers before you have selected the opposition leader from the opposition political party which has the majority of members in the House.
Under the new standing orders, you have appointed all the committees afresh. You have to make an announcement. That is the second issue I am raising today.
Good, okay.
You crossed over to our side in a group of 23. That day, no one argued that the leadership of the opposition will be lost. The Parliament only accepts recognised political parties. The joint opposition is not a recognised opposition party. It's just a gang. Parliamentarian Dinesh Gunawardena first made this request verbally, so I asked him to hand me a written request, which he did many days later. I told him during the last party leaders meeting that I will give an answer to this issue during this week, and he agreed. I allocate time for you to debate because you have 70 members, because I respect democracy within Parliament. I have to consult legal aspects and party leaders before I make any statement, which I hope to do so. You know in your heart that I have safeguarded the respect of all in Parliament. Let's think about the opposition's capacity within the Parliament. They only have 16 members out of 225 in the House. They only represent 7%. The position of the chief opposition whip has been given to a faction with only 6 members in Parliament. This is only a 2.8% of representation within Parliament. It is in that situation that we are asking for the rights of those representing 33% in Parliament. This is a tradition the President and the Prime Minister as well as yourself introduced in this Parliament on the 9th of January in 2015.
Leader of the opposition post cannot be held by a person who belongs to a party that has members in the cabinet. The UPFA chairman, general secretary and over 20 members of the UPFA are members of the cabinet today. It would be a mockery to have yet another UPFA member sitting as the leader of the opposition as well. Now we have only 3 parties. The Ilangai Tamilarasu Katchi, Janatha Vimukthi Peramuna and the Ilam People's Democratic Party, which are not part of the executive. That is up to the 23 members of the real opposition. If they want to be the real opposition, they must leave the UPFA. UPFA can't be part of the cabinet and also claim the post of the leader of the opposition.
I would like to remind at this moment that current Minister of Transport Nimal Siripal de Silva was given the post of opposition leader during the 100-day program. That was so unfair. If 70 members of the UPFA is out of the government and if there are only 26 members within the government, why not you use the majority of power to take over the power? With all your collective experience, you must make an administrative decision as the UPFA to overcome the 26 members. And then you can come here and make this demand, and it would be fair to do so. It will be fair to give this faction the post of the opposition leader if that sort of a situation arises.
Minister of Health Dr. Derana highlights the urgent need to produce competent medical lab technicians in the country, as addressing communicable diseases and non-communicable diseases depend on the accuracy of medical reports. Addressing the event held in Colombo yesterday, the minister revealed the government's move to implement a continuous professional development strategy for both diploma and degree holders in medical laboratory technology.
The general convocation of the batch 2015-2017 of Higher Diploma of Medical Laboratory Technology was held at the BMRCH yesterday under the patronage of Minister of Health Dr. Rajitha Senaratne.
Dengue, various strains of influenza, drug-resistant and persistent TB heavily depend on reliable laboratory reports. As such, producing the critical pool of competent, efficient, ethically sound MLTs is one of the urgent needs of the hour. The Health Ministry is not only recruiting diploma holders, but now we recruit the MLT degree holders. As a Health Ministry, we are giving you the opportunity to enter government universities under lateral entry program, and also we have granted you special leave to complete MLT degree at the Open University. Through Education, Training and Research Unit of the Ministry of Health has allocated a fairly large budgetary component for basic professional training programs for MLTs, including a plan to implement a continuous professional development strategy for both diploma and graduate MLT holders joining the government service. This, I believe, is really important to sustainable career development and to enable the delivery of a quality service.
Commissioner General of the Department of Labour, RPA, Vimalaveera, sounds an alarm over the plight of those employed in the informal economy and calls on the government to take necessary measures so they are safeguarded by existing labour legislation. Speaking at an event held in Colombo today, he added that 61% of employment stem from the informal economy.
An event was held to launch the project dubbed Supporting Grassroots Activities through the International Employers and Workers Network, which is funded by the Japan International Labour Foundation today. The launch was held under the auspices of Provincial Councillor Sendil Tondaman and representatives from JILAF and the Department of Labour.
As far as the total employment is concerned, 61% of them are in the informal economy. Most of them are on-account workers and contributing family members. So you can imagine the magnitude, the 60% of the total economy. As far as the Labour Department is concerned, all labour laws can be applied if there is a relationship, what you call employer-employee relationship. If there is no employer-employee relationship, unfortunately, the labour law cannot be applied. But as the main organization, I think as the Department of Labour, we have the responsibility to do something for the people, those who are in the informal economy, who are not being covered by the existing labour legislation. This project, not just, it's not a mere project which support to enhance or improve the livelihood. It has link to the sustainable development goals. This is not a project to support something like, the providing cash grant or, a grant in kind. This is to improve the capacity of the people. Sustainability is the most important thing.
Inspector General of Police Pooja Jayasundara heralds a zero-tolerance policy in dealing with police officers who engage in corrupt practices. He expressed his views at an event held in Colombo today.
The Sri Lanka Police and the Secretariat for Coordinating Reconciliation Mechanisms entered into a Memorandum of Understanding today in order to drive reconciliation efforts through the establishment of community policing committees across the island. Secretary-General for Secretariat for Coordinating Reconciliation Mechanisms, Manu Tittavella, spoke more on the MOU at the media briefing today.
The purpose of this MOU is to build a team of peacemakers at district and/or divisional secretariat level to promote the national unity, reconciliation and coexistence dialogue of the government of Sri Lanka, further to the cooperation between SCRM and Sri Lanka Police to allocate funding. What we have is the SCRM budget has funding allocated for these activities, and we feel that this allocation is best transferred to the Sri Lanka Police to support them in these activities. Now, initially, some locations have been selected for this purpose, but it will be expanded next year to an island-wide basis.
For us to implement in this process, there should be some sort of a strong ground level. CPCs, community policing committees, are already in the process. But that has to be strengthened by giving some sort of incentives, strength, some physical resources, human resources, the local government institutions' contribution. And therefore, if the machinery is going on in the strong manner, there will be never extremism, never terrorism in this country.
The IGP also touched on police conduct at the media briefing.
The corrupt police officers will be dealt according to the Police Discipline Code and the Establishment Code, Volume 2, and the law of the country. No, it's a sort of zero tolerance, this type of things, to stop all the corrupt practices, to give assistance to all other agencies to stop corrupt practices. And for us to correct ourselves first, we have to stop our corrupt practices, the very less percentage, but giving a very bad name to the Sri Lanka Police. Maximum punishment.
Army Commander Lieutenant General Mahesh Senanayake invites the Tamil diaspora residing in the West to return to the country as they can play an important role in developing the North and East by sharing their knowledge and capabilities. Speaking at a media briefing today, Lieutenant General Senanayake added that the government and armed forces should see this as an advantage for the nation.
A media briefing was held today to announce the Colombo Defence Seminar 2018, which will be held from August 30th to the 31st at the BMICH in Colombo. The interactive seminar, set to be conducted for the 8th occasion, will see a total of 800 participants and will be held under the theme Security in an Era of Global Disruptions. During the media briefing, journalists questioned the Army Commander on the diaspora community.
When you say diaspora, we believe there are two types. One is positive, another one could be negative. Its basic meaning is the people who have left a country and settled somewhere else. And they are trying to influence the societies, the governance of the particular country. So when you say there are two types of the same community, maybe there are clashes in between in terms of the ideology. So we as a country who runs at a distance, we should be able to identify the gaps, important areas between these two groups to take the advantage as armed forces or maybe for any government, to change the ideology of the minority and or the majority towards what the country needs. Simple example in today's context, there are many, I use the term Tamil diaspora in the West. They are rich, they have resources, they have knowledge. Why not they have been brought here and invest in terms of development of North and East or even for the country? So there are clashes. If we can identify the gaps in between and fix it for the betterment of the people who stays in this island, the armed forces will be the happiest to do it.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has told the parliamentary group of the United National Front that neither himself nor the members of the cabinet have received a proposal pertaining to a salary hike for parliamentarians. The matter was communicated via a statement released by the Prime Minister's office last evening. The parliamentary group of the United National Front, led by the leader of the UMP, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, met at the Temple Trees yesterday. During the meeting, Prime Minister has refuted media reports pertaining to a planned salary increment for parliamentarians.
He had noted that if a request is made, he is willing to consider the increment of the office allowance of MPs following discussions with the Treasury.
The Prime Minister asked us to tell you that it was the government of Mahinda Rajapaksa which increased salaries of parliamentarians, bringing their salary scale on par with judges. Today we refused any salary increment for the MPs and we unanimously decided not to accept an increment.
A woman died after being shot at in Kadawatha today. The shooting took place at around 1 p.m. at Armstrong Junction in Gonehena of Kadawatha. She was initially admitted to hospital but later succumbed. It's been reported that the deceased woman was released on bail last month after being arrested and remanded in connection with the murder of her divorced husband. She was shot today when she was returning from the court hearing pertaining to that case.
Watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Ada Derana 24/7.
Welcome back to the news. The loan scheme Turunu Diriya, implemented by the Bank of Ceylon with the assistance of the Policy Development Office at the Prime Minister's office, has granted loans worth around 21 million rupees for 47 potential young entrepreneurs. In a statement, the Prime Minister's office said that another batch of 189 young entrepreneurs in the Central Province had been identified and the program will be continued for other areas. The Prime Minister's office also announced that the Small Enterprises Development Bureau has prepared around 330 business plans with the loan facility for youth with degrees or recognized vocational training certificates with 3 years of experience. The Colombo Boost declined for a second straight session today and posted their lowest close in nearly 4 weeks. The Osha Price Index ended 0.41% lower at 6,117.63, its lowest close since July 11th, and has declined about 4% so far this year. Turnover rose to the highest since the 31st of May at 2.1 billion rupees, well above this year's daily average of 849 million rupees. For analysis of today's trading session, we have Nisansala Kurupumudali from First Capital Holdings.
Market closed in red for the second consecutive day, dragged down by big caps Ceylon Tobacco and John Keels. ASPI witnessed a short-lived hike during the first hour trading, reaching intraday high of 6,148, followed by a continuous downtrend, closing at 6,118, losing 25 points. Turnover has increased over 2 billion mark, recording the highest in 2 months, mainly contributed by John Keels and Selinco Insurance. Net foreign outflows recorded the highest in 2 months with high foreign participation.
Veteran Indian politician Muthuvel Karunanidhi has died at the age of 94. He was being treated for age-related illnesses in Chennai, in southern India's Tamil Nadu state. Karunanidhi served as the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu 5 times between 1969 and 2011 and also played a key role in federal politics. He contested and won 13 elections in the state. A school dropout, he made his name as a successful scriptwriter in Tamil films. Police have increased security in Chennai amid fears of unrest among his supporters who have gathered in the streets in large numbers. The Kaveri Hospital in Chennai said that Karunanidhi died at 6:10 p.m. local time today. US President Donald Trump has issued a strong warning to anyone trading with Iran following his reimposition of sanctions on the country. He threatened to stop businesses with anyone who did so with Iran. In the meantime, Iran's President Hassan Rouhani hit out at the United States over its reinstatement of economic sanctions. He described the measures which came into effect overnight as psychological warfare, which aimed to sow divisions among Iranians.
Iranian President Hassan Rouhani dismissed a US call for talks on the eve of the imposition of new sanctions that follows Washington's decision to pull out of an agreement over Iran's nuclear program. The United States is due to impose new sanctions against Iran today, intended to cripple its economy, implementing President Donald Trump's decision to break with European allies and exit the 2015 agreement. Washington has said the only way Iran could avert the sanctions would be to agree to new negotiations over its missile and nuclear programs, saying that the first step would be for Trump to show that he genuinely wants to engage in negotiations to solve a problem. Rouhani questioned meaning of negotiations when sanctions are imposed at the same time. The Iranian leader added that Trump's talk is either about gaining domestic political advantage in the elections or waging psychological war against the Iranian people.
Twin wildfires in California, known as the Mendocino Complex Fire, have grown to become the largest active wildfire in state history. The fires have spread rapidly in recent days to burn 283,800 acres of land, an area almost the size of Los Angeles.
The Mendocino Complex Fire became the largest wildfire in Californian history yesterday as it raged at the southern tip of the Mendocino National Forest, where crews battled to keep flames from descending into foothill communities. The Mendocino Complex Fire, made up of two separate configurations that merged, grew to 283,800 acres and was still growing. The fire surpassed the Thomas Fire, which burned 281,893 acres in Santa Barbara and Ventura counties in 2017, as prime weather conditions are expected to persist. The Mendocino Complex, which has destroyed 75 homes and forced thousands to flee, is the largest of 8 major wildfires burning out of control across California, prompting US President Donald Trump to declare a major disaster in the state.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
A very good evening, everyone, and welcome to Forecast First. Tomorrow is going to be rather warm in the northern, eastern and southern provinces of the island, with temperatures rising up to 35 degrees Celsius in Trincomalee, Batticaloa and Hambantota districts. But those who are in the central province can expect milder temperatures as low as 20 degrees Celsius. Looking at your rain forecast for tomorrow now, light rain may be experienced in northwestern, western and southern provinces. However, sunny weather will prevail over most other parts of the country tomorrow. That's it from your weather center tonight. Up next is your city by city forecast.
And before we go tonight, we'd like to take you to Ritigala, the mountain which is home to one of the most ancient Buddhist monasteries in the country. The historic ruins and rock inscriptions at the monastery date back as far as the 1st century BC. The mountain is located 43 kilometers away from the ancient monastic city of Anuradhapura. We hope you enjoy these visuals and have a pleasant evening.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.